Good evening, everybody. I'm starting off with great news. By the way, I'm Charlie Lambden. This is Moving Home with Charlie, and I'm here to share my wisdom of working with estate agents for the last 20, 25 years for those of you moving home out there. But the good news is I'm down to my last can of coffee beer. Okay, so that'll be the end of it. It'll be the last one I'll ever drink. So I'll enjoy polishing that off with you guys tonight. Welcome. I hope you're all having a good day despite the wild news and turmoil. I wanted to start. I did a quick poll. I did it on Twitter and on YouTube, asking movers how they felt about the new situation that has arisen because Liz Truss has resigned as Prime Minister. And these are the results, which are quite interesting. So 60% of you so far out of 250 want a general election. I find it interesting that of the people who would like another Tory Prime Minister, it's kind of 60-40 split in favour of Boris, which I find interesting. And 15% if you don't care, you're leaving. Okay, which I don't blame you. I have just a quick opinion on that situation, which is that given that everybody needs stability sooner rather than later, although I definitely agree that the public deserves a general election and for the public to make their voice heard, I don't think that the 6 to 8 weeks of uncertainty we then get would actually help anything. I think it would make things actually worse. And whilst I do think we definitely need to have a general election, I don't think a short-term snap one actually helps, sadly. I think stability is what we need more than anything else. And then once we've got stability, then we can relook at that kind of stuff and do it in an orderly fashion if things aren't going well enough. That's my view. Anyway, we are here tonight to talk about, because I saw a story today that filled me with horror, which is that online estate agents are increasing their market share of properties for sale. And it's the first time I've heard that in years, because they only kind of really came into existence about 2017, about 5 years ago. And there's a long backstory to this, but in the last few years, they've kind of been slowly, and in a good way, as far as I'm concerned, it's a good thing, slowly dying out. But now there's a resurgence. And so this live stream is primarily intended for people who are selling their house and are wondering, I wonder if we should use one of those online agents. And in a word, if you haven't got time to watch this whole live stream, the answer is no, don't use an online estate agent. Whether they're free or whether they make you pay money up front or pay anyway whether you sell it or not, let me explain to you why it's a terrible idea in almost all circumstances. I want to begin by saying I've got nothing against anyone who works for one of these. My beef, if you like, is with the actual business model and the results or lack of results achieved as a result for people who are moving. And first-time sellers are the target market for online agents, because there's a reason why 95% of people selling their house choose not to use an online agent and choose to go and use a conventional agent, and that's because they understand what a difficult process it is, and that you don't want to be risking paying money for someone that may not sell your house. Secondly, a lot of people who've tried using them once, most of them are like, never again. What a nightmare. So let me start by, because I want to do a quick market update on the market as well, but I'll do that at the end. Let me start by explaining to you the totally objective and impartial reasons why using an online estate agent to sell your home is a bad idea. Right. Number one, the basic proposition of all online estate agents is that they save you money on estate agents' fees, right? That's their basic proposition. Why pay an estate agent's fee? Just pay our fixed fee, you'll save money. That's only true on the assumption that A, they sell your house at all, which a lot of them don't. I'll come on to that in a minute. And B, the biggest assumption is that you're assuming they're going to get the same price for your property as a conventional agent. And that is the big mistaken assumption that people make. Everybody assumes that their home is worth the same no matter who sells it. And I can tell you that if I only had one message to give to everyone moving house from my 25 years in the estate agency, it is this: how much you get for your house depends more on your choice of agent than anything else. Okay? Your house may have a value that you perceive it to have, but whether or not you achieve that value depends on who you choose to sell it for you. Okay? And there is a wild fluctuation of like, let's just say that's what people's perceived value of the house is. Well, good agents will get you more, average agents will get you your perceived value, and bad agents will get you less. And online agents will get you even less. Okay, in my opinion. I've got no, there's no axe to grind. There's no agenda I've got against them. And in fact, on Best Agent, online agents are included in the leads that go out to agents for people who are looking to sell their house, because the one exception to this rule is if the local representative of an online agent like Purplebricks or Yopa or someone like that is somebody that you know personally, or someone that you trust knows personally, and you know that they are going to go out of their way to get you the best price for your house because of their own personal values. If that's the case, and you've met someone that you know is actually there for you, and never mind which company they work for, on a personal level they're there for you, then okay, maybe it might be worth it. But that is the only scenario. The other scenario that it works is if you are a semi-professional seller. So maybe you're a developer, maybe you buy and sell properties a lot, and you're happy to actually handle the process yourself. Yeah, then if you know the game, if you are someone that's experienced at selling property, then using an online agent just gets it advertised. But in that case, why would you pay Purplebricks when you can just use Strike because it's free, apparently? So yeah, mistake number one is assuming that online agents are going to get the same price for your house as a conventional agent. So back in 2018, 2019 or something, there was an in-depth study done of this by a company called Get Agent, who found that on average, when online agents did sell your property, they got about 4% less than conventional agents. And they were impartial. Again, they were impartial. It was just a totally objective exercise. And the other big survey that was done was by a city stockbroker called Jeffries, who analysed every single property sale in the whole country by all agents for 12 months, and found that Purplebricks sold less than half of the properties they listed. 48.2% to be exact, right? There is a document that spells this out. And at the same time, a lot of people think that, oh, Purplebricks is free, isn't it? No, they're not. They're definitely not. You pay Purplebricks whether they sell your house or not. Even if they don't sell your house, you have to pay them. A lot of people don't know that. Okay, so if you decide to pay Purplebricks to sell your house, you're basically just doing a coin toss, paying them £1,000 or whatever it is, and hoping that they sell your house. And even if they do, hoping they get you a good price for it. Now, why is it the case? Okay, you might say, well, Charlie, how doesn't make sense? Why, if they market the property in the same place as conventional agents, and they offer viewing services and stuff, well, the property is marketed there, they do the viewing. Why wouldn't they get as much? And that's a good and reasonable question, which I will answer after I've had some more coffee, goodness. Achieving a mediocre price for the sale of your property is relatively straightforward. Estate agency is never easy, right? But it's relatively straightforward, and the mass market of mediocre agents will get you a mediocre price for your property. Okay? Achieving a good price for your property is harder. It takes harder work, a lot more time invested up front, qualifying buyers and knowing the market and that kind of stuff. And those agents that tend to get higher prices tend to charge slightly higher fees. And the very best agents, who are the ones who actually understand the process involved of making certain that they have maximized the sale price of your property, not just got you a price you're happy with, right, but actually maximized it. And why wouldn't you want to maximize it? It's an enormous amount of work, and they need to be highly motivated to do it. And one of the big motivations is they don't earn anything unless they sell your house. And if they're earning a proper fee, it's because they know they get you more money for your home than other sellers do, other agents do, I mean. Okay? And so, okay, well, how does this translate into online agents? Well, online agents have got your money up front. The moment you sign up with them, the money's in the bank for them. You might be paying it later, but you are paying it. They have your money I'll tell you a story, guys. Right, I used to when I got fired from my job in the city way back when. I was doing it was my early 20s, and I did a summer car washing round. I go around knocking on people's doors and washing their cars, and I got a regular round of customers. And I'd clean their cars, and I'd wash and polish and hoover them, whatever, and I'd get paid at the end of it. And that payment at the end of it was what really motivated me to do the best job. And then one day, one of my customers who really trusted me, and I was there to clean three cars, him and his wife and his daughter's car, and he said, "Look, we've got to go out today, so I'm just going to pay you now." And he paid me up front for cleaning the cars that I hadn't cleaned yet. And I'll never forget how demotivating it felt. Like, oh, I've got my money now. I mean, I'll clean them, but it's somehow really sapped. I mean, I still did a great job because he was a great customer, and I went back again and again after that. But I'll never forget how demotivating I found it having the money up front. Really demotivating, but never pay anyone up front if you don't have to. And so, because the sales reps of these online agents make their commission by signing people up to their service, they will always be prioritizing that part of their job over selling your house that they've already been paid for. Does that make sense? It's not that they don't want to; they do want to, and they would like to sell it for you. It's not that they don't want to. It's not that I didn't want to do a good job on that guy's car, on that guy's cars. Right? I did, and I still did, but it was a lot harder. I had to really dig deep to find the motivation to do as good a job as I normally did. So when you are facing that dilemma of, oh, I've already got my money, and I can either go and try and help sell that person's house that I've already listed and been paid for, or I can go and sign up another customer. That's what happens. Okay. So you end up not getting as many offers on your home because the agents aren't working as hard to find you buyers. And by the way, just putting it on the big property websites and waiting is not the way to get the best price for your house. That is the lazy way that ends up with a mediocre price. So if they sell it for you at all, right, then you are on average likely to expect a lower price. And the problem is, a lot of people who've sold their properties through those companies and accepted the price have gone, oh well, yeah, I mean, I suppose I'm happy. Well, you don't know how much more you could have got for your property with an agent that wouldn't have charged you anything unless they sold it. So unless you're someone that would pay a ferry ticket or an aeroplane ticket with only a 50% chance of them getting you to the other side or to a destination, I wouldn't pay anyone up front to sell my house. I just wouldn't do it. And so for those of you saying, well, what about Strike? Because they don't charge you anything. I mean, again, they're even less motivated to sell than the other guys are. They make all their money from referring you to various other different services. And that's the other thing with Purplebricks. If you sign up with them, you then have to use their conveyancers, who will also get paid whether you sell or not. Okay, and the conveyancers that Purplebricks uses are famous in the industry for being shocking. So much so that some people who used Purplebricks to sell their house and actually got a sale went to put an offer on the place they wanted to buy, and when the agent that was listing the property they wanted to buy found out they were selling their home through Purplebricks, advised the seller of that new property not to accept their offer because the Purplebricks conveyances was so bad. Like, if it was if you had a Purplebricks buyer, in other words, someone selling their house through Purplebricks who's then going to buy, a lot of agents would just go, if I'm desperate, I'll take your offer, I'll get my client to go for it. Otherwise, just no chance. I mean, already had a few people actually messaging me about absolutely shockingly bad experiences they've had with online agents. Okay. I remember someone referred to using an online agent as a stupidity tax, which is pretty harsh if you're just uninitiated and don't know what's happening. Because, hey, why wouldn't you use someone that charges less money? But believe me, estate agency is a very difficult, soul-destroying job to do for most agents. And if they can get your money up front and haven't got to sell your house, they put you in the system and they leave you to respond to the leads yourself. I mean, they don't even do anything. You're just chucked into their system and left alone. And there are people that you can call apparently, but you don't have the same personal point of contact that you can get hold of as well as when you use a conventional agent that you can see face to face whenever you want. Okay. Now, before I've got two more things to do. Number one, I got if it sounds like I'm hating on Purplebricks here, well, there's a reason, okay? When they first came out with that TV ad campaign, and it was a brilliant ad campaign, and it was why Purplebricks became a household name. The commiserating one, with people putting their face into a cake and that kind of stuff, right? That advert had to be taken down because it was deemed by the ASA as being misleading. And it was misleading because most people saw the advert and thought that Purplebricks didn't charge a commission. Well, they don't charge a commission, but they do charge a fee. They didn't say that in the advert. So people were signing up and not knowing it, and then finding out that they had to pay their money. A, they had to pay money they weren't expecting, and B, they had to pay it whether they sold or not. Now, I remember making a huge song and dance about this at the time, and I made a complaint to the ASA, and I went public and was in the media talking about Purplebricks, and they threatened to sue me, and I've still got the letter somewhere where they basically said, and I stood my ground, went, well, no, because nothing I'm saying is false, it's all true, so I'll stand by what I've said. Sue me, and they didn't. Right? They were going around, they were just threatening letters. They were proper bully boys. The first team behind Purplebricks were a real Del and Rodney brother team. And I'm sure they're very charming, nice guys like Del and Rodney are. Great blokes to go on the pub with, who have pocketed 70 million quid from their from their founding of Purplebricks, from the shares that they made, the shares that they sold. Purplebricks is now worth total today £44 million. It's not even worth what they pocketed and took out of it when they left, right? And this is how they treated customers, right? The chief executive of Purplebricks had to go onto Watchdog and apologise because their sales reps were signing people up to credit agreements, consumer credit agreements, without saying so. Okay, number one. Number two, in my opinion, they exploited their staff. They were called local property experts, right? And they were self-employed, and they had to pay all their own travel costs and everything else like that. And they had to do crazy hours and to try and hit their targets. And they were exploited. And there were stories of utter misery for these people. And of course, the owners of Purplebricks were taking no risk because the staff were working for free unless they made a sale. And the customers were signing up and paying up whether they got a sale or not. So Purplebricks was literally getting free work from its staff unless they did a sale, and free money from customers whether they sold the property or not. And then got a kickback on the conveyancing fee from their crappy conveyancers. They did not care about the lives of their customers or their staff. And there are some die-hard, I mean, I don't think they were evil people who set out to hurt anybody. I think they were just naive and stupid and didn't realize and thought, well, you pays your money, you takes your chance. So, no one had to work for us. No one had to sign up to us. But the way I saw it, they were relieving people of, tens of thousands of people who couldn't afford to lose £1,000 were handing over their money and then being left high and dry with their property unsold. And in my view, that's exploitation. Now, whether or not it's legal or not doesn't matter. I wanted to shout about it from the rooftops, and I'm still shouting about it. Don't sell it. If you must go with an online agent because you hear everything I'm saying, you disregard it, then please go with Yopa, not Purplebricks, because Yopa are marginally less bad. Now, Purplebricks has got different management today. By the way, they're facing a class action lawsuit from those people. There's 400 of their former staff who they should have treated as employees and didn't. And they're also, they weren't handling tenants' deposit money correctly. There was a procedural fault, which means that they have to pay a fine, £3.5 million or something, because they were, it's just, the whole thing was just dodgy as. And I am here to defend the reputation of good, honest, hardworking estate agents because they help change people's lives. And Purplebricks did the opposite. They made money off the back of people who are losing out, and that just stinks, and I hate it. So, yeah, sorry. There's my little personal rant about Purplebricks. But Purplebricks are still represented on Best Agent. They are not excluded. Best Agent includes everybody. It's impartial. So, good luck to you if you are a Purplebricks employee right now. I feel for you. But if you are a seller now, and this is for you, who has seen the media and has finally come to terms with the fact that house prices are falling and needs to sell, if you need to sell now, you need an experienced agent who's worked in a downturn before, okay? Because there is now, let me give you the market update, and this is why you need a really good agent. And I will never tell you who to use, okay? I'll tell you how to choose your agent, but I'll never tell you who to choose. That's always down to you. So today, Property Mark, which is an estate agents association and a training organisation with the largest number of members of any industry association that I'm aware of, put out a press release saying that it's on average, its members are now listing 50% more properties than they were. I can't remember how long ago it was they're comparing it with, but it's 50% jump in stock. Okay, so there's a lot more property coming to the market. So the supply restraint, the supply restriction is being eased. There is no longer a shortage of property for sale. There might be a shortage of affordable property for sale, as one of my followers pointed out to me today on Twitter. Moving_Charlie, if you don't follow me on Twitter, that's the place to follow me. There might be a shortage of affordable properties, and that is why we've got this standoff between sellers and buyers, okay? Because, and it's why there's going to be an effective hiatus. So while there are transactions still happening at mid and higher levels where there are smaller mortgages involved or where people have to move for life reasons, first-time buyer interest has fallen off a cliff, all right? And first-time buyers are the lifeblood of the property market, and they have, to all intents and purposes, stopped. New inquiries, new mortgage applications for new purchases from first-time buyers are, from the brokers I've been talking to, are like 90% down. Remortgages are busy for the brokers, but new mortgages have fallen off a cliff. And viewings across ages are sort of 50% down overall, most of which is first-time buyers just putting the brakes on and waiting, which I think is very wise. We've got sellers putting their property in the market at an overinflated price because they're expected to take 10% or something under asking price, which is why Rightmove reported asking prices have increased in September. That is not how to get the best price for your house, guys. And so if you need to sell your house, it's critical. Number one, go and leave no stone unturned in the hunt for an agent that you trust, that's professional, that's been around long enough, has seen previous downturns, and you really trust with a massive life decision. Okay. Number two, make sure that they understand in a buyer's market where there's a shortage of buyers and too many sellers, which is what we're about to have. The presentation of your property has never been more critical. All right, the quality of the presentation, the quality of the photography, the quality of everywhere and anywhere they present your property, the floor plans, all that kind of stuff. You need to make sure that your property is better presented than the properties you're competing with. Okay, it's absolutely crucial. If it is, yours is the one that will get the inquiries before the other ones. All right, so find an agent you trust, make sure they're doing absolutely amazing presentation, and when you find one that you trust, pay them what they ask, because the really good agents are now charging higher fees, 1.5%, 2%. If they get you sold, they're worth every penny. Okay, there's no point going with a cheaper agent for 1.5% or 1% if they don't sell for you, because then you've saved nothing, have you? Right? You need quality in your agent now if you need to sell. Absolutely crucial. So, guys, let's take some questions from you. Questions on selling, if we've got them. Right. Let me see. Do we have any questions? Peter Galliot asks, I can show that. So, is it safe for buyers to buy through Purplebricks? Yeah, it's not unsafe to buy through Purplebricks. The only problem is that because of the conveyancing, you might find it a very painful transaction. That's my information on that. Good question. A visual ghoul. Who is worse, Purplebricks or Trusted Time in Office? Well, I think in the long run, Purplebricks has probably done more damage, actually. Might be close, but pretty bad. Yes, okay, good question from Exile. It's the business model that makes online. So what I mean by an online estate agent is an agent that a rep comes around, signs you up, you pay up front, or you commit to paying anyway, and then they disappear, and after that you have to deal with a call center. That's what I mean by an online agent, right? The Purplebricks, the Yopas, those ones where they charge you up front. So people who don't have offices but still provide full service, they're as far as I'm concerned, the conventional estate agents. They may or may not. I mean, if it was me, I always prefer to go with an agent where you know that you can go and find them. So if things aren't going well, you can turn up in their office where they work, Um, but if it is someone that works from home, just make sure that there's someone that's responsive and that will always come and see you. And one of the questions you should ask, if you want to go with them, is if I'm unhappy and I want to see you, do you promise you'll come round and see me straight away? All right. Just make sure that it's someone that will come round, look you in the eye, and tell you what's going on. Uh, Simon Thomason. Sorry, what do you mean? Isn't what every agent? Um, I don't understand that question. Can you? Value comes around and he says, "Oh, I see." Okay. No, that is. So it's right. I'm really glad you made that point, right? Because if you use an owner-managed local independent agent, often the person that comes round is the person that actually does the viewings and the person who you've got personal accountability from. If it's a big, busy corporate, then yes, you get these very slick salespeople that come around, sign you up, and you never see them again. And that's not a good thing. And these are highly trained salespeople. It doesn't mean you shouldn't use them, but um, you really want someone where the person coming round is the person that's going to be answerable to you, and you can get hold of, who's going to take personal responsibility for selling your property. Um, no, Steve Witcher. I only answer positive questions. No, what questions have I answered? Ask again. Um, what is my view on online auctions, says Ryan? They're not for home movers, I don't think. I mean, unless you're a cash buyer. Yeah, buying through auction is risky. It's just much riskier because when the hammer falls, you've committed to exchange. So it's an area that I'm not an expert in, and I don't talk about it very much. Um, Annie Anonymous. I'm surprised to hear that you're going to view through EXP UK. So they're not an online agent. No, they are a network of freelance individuals who work for themselves, powered by a platform called EXP. They're normally really outstandingly good. If you're requested to view through their website and you haven't heard from them, I would find the EXP agent on LinkedIn or something and tell them and give them a shout because they won't be happy about that. Question, Thomas Moran. Inventory in our area has gone through the roof. 1,000 to 6,820 as of today. Do you think inventory will continue to rise going forward? Inventory is definitely going to continue to rise. It is already way, way higher than it was at the beginning of this year. And we ain't seen nothing yet. Okay. So I know of an agent who, when working in the 90s downturn, they had about 60 properties normally, and once the downturn was in full swing, they had 400 properties for sale out of one office. Okay, so we ain't seen nothing yet. There's going to be a lot more coming on. Exile 2028 are all good slash traditional agents, no sale, no fee. In my opinion, yes. In my opinion, yes. That's a great question. Sean Robertson on YouTube asks, when do you think the penny will drop for most sellers slash agents and they'll stop overvaluing asking prices? I don't know. I mean, I don't know where. I suppose you have a lot of people who just they aren't inquisitive, they aren't curious, they don't go and seek out information and data to find out and inform their decisions. They just literally watch, I don't know, Love Island and stuff like that, and just assume that everything's okay, and they aren't paying attention, and they'll ask a local agent, they'll tell them everything's fine, and they'll go, okay, great, we'll put it on the market. We heard someone said it might be worth selling soon, and they're just out of touch. I don't know. Nothing against people who watch Love Island, by the way. I'm just saying people who choose to use their time doing that rather than keeping abreast of what's happening in the world. Uh, but the answer, okay, I can give you a more helpful answer than that. The intel that I'm getting from experienced agents is that the mainstream of agents who are still in denial about what's happening, and my God, they're still out there, in the next week or so are going to have their come to Jesus moment, their oh fuck. It's finally going to dawn on them that they are not going to be able to sell what they're listing at these overinflated prices, and they're therefore not going to be able to make a living if they keep on doing it. So I think the penny will start dropping with agents in November. And the penny will start dropping with sellers in December, We won't see that happen until January, and in January is when you're going to start to see a lot of stuff coming on. If you need to sell, I wouldn't wait till January. I'd move right now. I would move right now. If you need to sell, the sooner you get, the better. Okay. Um, da, 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 da. Here's a question. LRNA. Today, a property on the market that was bought for 470k in March 22 and is now on auction for 350. Oh, I don't know. It must have problems with it. If it's gone straight to auction, there must be issues with it if it's such a massive price drop. Either that, or they're desperate, need to sell very quickly. Maybe it was a cash buyer, and they need their money out, and they're actually thinking, let's just get it sold now. If that's the case, and they overpaid in March, which was absolutely the top of the market, then whacking into an auction right now is not a bad idea to get it sold quickly. Steve Witcher, I'm assuming you must be quite a new follower of mine. Yes, I do think prices are going to go down. I've been saying it since May of this year, and I did a big video in August explaining my 8 reasons that prices are definitely going to fall. And I did another one in September, which actually was 10 reasons why they're going to fall. They have started falling, even though we can't see it yet, and they are going to continue to fall for quite a long time. If you are thinking of selling, I'm afraid you've already missed the top of the market. You will not be getting top price. Unless you've got a very rare, very desirable property, you might still get a great price. Jimmy Davis asks, do I still think house prices will fall by 35%? Yes, I do, on average, between 15 and 50%. Right? There'll be variations, regional variations, town and country variations, but on average, that's still my guess. David, okay, so there's some feedback about Strike. You said July with Strike, no upfront fee, but you have to do your own viewings. Luckily, you had an estate agent friend that helped you, and that saved you. Yes, I'm not surprised. David, my question would be: would you use Strike again, or would you go to a conventional agent next time? What other questions do we have, guys? Anyone got any questions? Rawnsley asks, I've got rental. So my views on the rental market is that it is highly localized, and there's no national thing. I mean, overall, nationally, rent prices are up, but there are going to be many different factors affecting the rental market next year, and it's going to change and fluctuate all over the place. Also, depending what level of the market. I must need another swig of my coffee beer. Okay. Here's a question from Michelle. Hi, Charlie. In 6 months' time, how much do you think house prices will drop? So, if we're talking about prices being agreed today compared with prices being agreed 6 months from now, which is not the same as actual prices that were completed and registered today, that's different. But prices being agreed at the coalface now compared with prices being agreed at the coalface 6 months from now, I mean, 10 to 15%, roughly. It's going to vary regionally everywhere as well. What is the best approach to get offer accepted by the vendor? You have a chain that your sale is guaranteed. I mean, generally speaking, man, the best approach to get offer accepted is to make sure that you show that you are the most proceedable buyer offering on that property. All right. So if you're talking about the situation where you're competing with other buyers offering similar amounts, you've got to make sure that you can show you can proceed the fastest. If you've got a chain and you can't sell, and someone else hasn't got a chain, then they're more likely to accept the other buyer's offer unless you offer significantly more. I hope that answers your question. Exile, I don't really understand that question. Do you want to just type it again? Do I have any advice for predicting house price drop on your own property? Yeah, Ryan says, I think I agree with that, Ryan. That's a good point. The penny will start to drop in the next big, so that's the 3rd of November. Any other questions from earlier on that I've missed? Let's just check. One moment, bear with me. Okay, well, I should show this for balance. Dan Marr says that they sold their flat with Purplebricks, went with them due to working night shifts, and the NHS made it a lot easier for you to arrange and do your own viewing. Got 5 offers in 3 weeks and achieved your asking price. Okay, all right. Well, there you are, guys. There is someone who is a happy Purplebricks customer. I mean, obviously they have got some happy customers, otherwise they wouldn't be in business at all. They've got to be achieving some sales, and occasionally it will work out. But I would still, I would still, I would still, you don't know what asking price you got compared to what you could have got otherwise. But maybe you did. Rather niche. It's my last one. I can't bear wastage. Okay, there's no more after this. It's actually going down better and better the more it goes down, if you know what I mean. But I'm not going to do any more of that. I'm just trying to find another question for you. Okay, so this is a unemployment rate the next 2 years. I fear that all of the maths, all of the data, all of the information is pointing towards a very unpleasant spike in unemployment in the next 2 years. And of course, that will definitely affect house prices because there will be fewer people qualifying to get a mortgage to buy. Okay, Paul asks, how can you convince an agent you can proceed quickly? Okay, if you're a cash buyer, show them proof of funds and have your solicitor already ready, your conveyancing solicitor. Say, I've got my conveyancer already ready, I've got my funds ready, I can exchange as fast as the seller can. Okay, so that's how to convince an agent you can proceed quickly, number one. Number two, if you're buying with a mortgage, you've got to have that mortgage offer and say, look, here's my mortgage offer, I'm ready to go. Okay, so it's just basically showing them the more work you've done to be prepared to proceed quickly, the less work you offer the agent, and the more likely you are to proceed and actually exchange with the buyer. So it's not really a question of convincing them; it's just a question of showing them that you are ready. Okay, this question is a good question. What's the best way? I assume that you're asking from the seller's point of view. What's the best way to work out the current value of your property and monitor any drops or gains? I mean, you're never going to know what your property would actually get you unless you actually put it on the market to sell it. Otherwise, the best way is just to monitor the sold prices for properties most like yours nearby on the land registry website, which is free, because they list every single property that sells by exact address. So the local comparables is the only thing that you can go by, really. Do I think rents will also come down like houses in time? I do think that might happen, actually. I think things are going to get bad enough that will happen, yes. Um, um, just trying to find another one because it just takes me a while to read through these, so forgive me. Here's I think this is an estate agent chiming in. Nick, are you an agent or are you the seller? It sounds like you're a seller using a traditional agent, right? A probate seller. And glad that you're using a traditional agent. Or I prefer to call them a conventional agent rather than traditional. This is a good question. Is it general practice for estate agents to keep a house listed when they've accepted an offer and state what it is on the information? It's very commonly done. It's down to the individual agent's choice. The reason that they do it is they like to advertise that they've sold the property, and they're proud that they sold it. So they like to get the maximum publicity value of showing, hey, this is a house that we've sold. Okay. But what some buyers do is they make their buying offer conditional on the property being taken off the internet. All right. So you've made your offer, you make your offer, and you say, here's my offer, but my offer is conditional on the property being taken off the internet once the offer is accepted, if the offer is accepted. Ryan, again, do I share the same opinion as you? anyone who's got a buy-to-let property in the last 3 years are going to force to sell due to mortgage rates. Yes, I heard today, but didn't verify myself, that two-thirds of buy-to-let properties with mortgages have got rates coming to the end within the next 2 years, and will not be able to service the new level rates. So I do think there are going to be a lot of landlords forced to sell due to mortgage rates coming in the next year or two. And what that does, I mean, are they going to be snapped up by other landlords who are cash buyers and therefore still be available as rental properties, or are they going to be bought by home buyers? No one knows, because when those landlords are forced to sell, their main first-time buyers may not still be back in the affordable market in big numbers. I get this question a little bit. Paul says, "Would I recommend using a buying agent?" Yeah, actually, I would. Buying agents generally are worth their money, because they will get you. They have a relationship with agents, and you can tend to be at the head of the queue for the good stuff, and they negotiate on your behalf. They take a lot of work and hassle out of it. It is very time consuming trying to find a new home, as anybody knows. So buying agents will save you time. They may get you the property at a better price than you would otherwise have got. And therefore, in my opinion, if you have a good one, they are worth it. Yes. Okay, this is interesting. Rather niche says lots of landlords liquidating right now. Okay, that's interesting information. Right, guys. Any more seller questions? This video is really about questions from sellers. So, anyone else got more seller questions? Are you a seller watching this quietly, thinking, "I don't know what to do," and wondering what to do? I'd love to hear from you if you are. I'm still looking for questions that I've missed. Lancashire Traveller 1. Do I think base rate's going to hit 3% in November? Yes, I do. Definitely. Definitely. If not more, in my opinion. Although everything's so up in the air at the moment. I mean, one of the biggest questions about the new Prime Minister is, whoever the new Prime Minister is, are they going to keep Jeremy Hunt in post or not? Maybe they will. I think they probably should, for the sake of stability. I think we are running out of questions. So, oh right, okay. Here's one more. So, my opinion, 1929. Nice to see you again, by the way. Thanks for watching. So many properties coming back onto the market, which was listed 3 or 4 months ago. Why is this? There is a list of reasons why that's happening, and it's a combination of these things. Some of them are coming back on the market because the mortgage valuations are down valuing the property, and therefore forcing the buyer to pull out, because the lender won't agree the value of the transaction. Some of them are buyers who have just decided that they are worried that the property market's going to fall, and they're pulling out to wait for it to fall. There are a lot of chains collapsing because one person in the middle has stopped moving, so the people either side, their chain has collapsed as well. And I think a lot of people agreed prices 3 or 4 months ago much too high, and have quietly realised, we've really overpaid. Let's just back out. So yeah, that's why, and it's happening more and more. And estate agents are scrambling to keep the deals together. Ryan, as a first-time buyer, it depends how urgently you need a home. Okay, I get this. This is a very, very common question, so I'll just answer. The question I get most often is, when's a good time to buy? Well, I don't know what your personal circumstances or reasons for buying are, so I can't answer it. But if you're someone, I had a message today from someone who said, "Look, we need to buy now. We've got a baby on the way, got to be near the nursery, yada yada yada. We need to buy now. So what do we do?" And my answer was, buy now, just don't overpay. Okay. And then I get other people who say, "We're living with our parents, or we're in rented, and we want to buy, and we're in a position to buy, but we're not in a hurry. What should we do?" I would be waiting till at least January, and then if you're keen to find somewhere sooner rather than later, in other words, if you don't want to wait for the housing market to get the bottom of its prices, be out there very actively searching and viewing properties, so that when that 1 in 10 properties that comes along that's actually an absolute cracker and the seller wants to sell it really quickly and you're the one viewing it, you're the one that'll put the offer in and get that deal. Okay, so even though prices are going to keep falling for probably 2 years, uh, you might well find bargains that are worth it generally, because if you buy it, you'll be saving yourself 2 years worth of rent. So there are still sums that make it worth buying. The other question I get a lot is, when will affordability return? In other words, when will the equation between house prices and mortgage interest rates return to what it was before? And I don't know, I haven't done the numbers myself, but I saw an article in the Telegraph today. In fact, I tweeted that article, saying that it's late 2024 or early 2025 that is currently expected to happen, and that will then have affordability levels back at the same levels as 2015. Okay, so you might want to go and check that out on my Twitter, moving_Charlie on Twitter. I tweeted that article. Do I have any more sellers? You guys are all buyers, aren't you? Anyone selling out there? Oh, here we are. I'd like to share this one. I sold with PB. Diabolical. Just waiting for my purchase to complete before I make a complaint. Sorry to hear that, Sabir. I hope it does complete. I really do. Hope they hold it together for you. Dan Marr. Sold in July. Well done. Exchange next week. Moving back in with your mum to save money. Look again in May after the energy price cap ends. Yeah, you will. They will be 15 to 20% less than they're on the market for at the moment. Yeah, they will be by then, I'm pretty sure. Yes, if that's an option, Steve Witcher, renting for a while, waiting for a good home is not a bad idea if you're not in a hurry, and if you can find somewhere to rent that's good. Yeah, there are 2 and 5 year fixes around for 5.5%, but also there are variable rates for about 3%, 3.5%. I've seen today. RJ, do you think we'll ever see a change in the speed of buying a house, i.e., having all the information available at the start in order to make conveyancing better? That is one of the most talked about topics in the estate agency industry, and it has been for decades. Scotland has a much quicker system than the UK does, and seems to work really well, but for some reason there's resistance to that in the UK. I do think that there will be an improvement, and it's actually something that eventually I hope Best Agent will be helping with, but probably not for a few years, where we'll be able to make it much, much, much easier than it currently is for people to share the information that's needed to make the transaction happen more quickly. All the parties involved, councils, conveyancers, surveyors, agents, buyers, sellers, all of it, make it much quicker. Okay, this is a good question. I might wrap up with this question. What's the best case scenario for sellers over the next year? Okay, here is the best case scenario for you if you're a seller in the next year. You will not wait for a year, but if you have to wait, I mean, maybe the reason that you can't sell for a while, I don't know. Okay, but as soon as you are able to sell, you need to put your house on the market very quickly, and you need to pick an agent who knows that local market so well and understands that the market is falling. Now, remember, local markets vary, and some are stronger than others. You need a local person that knows your local market really well, has been there a long time. You want to look for an agent that's been there for 30 years. That's what you really want. You want someone that remembers the 90s downturn. That's who I'd be looking for right now, to be honest. Or if it's going to be a younger agent, one that is totally open and accepting of the true conditions and isn't trying to persuade you that everything's fine, it's all going up. Can't believe people are still doing that. And the best case is that they will price it at just the right price, that you get a flurry of buyers who go, that's a bargain, and they all bid up and outbid each other, and you get it sold quickly, hopefully to a cash buyer or a buyer that can proceed very, very quickly. Because the real skill of that agent is not just getting the buyer interest in getting an offer, but getting an offer that's actually going to complete, because that's what's going to be harder in the next couple of years, is getting deals that actually go through an exchange. Okay, I've got to just give Strike their credit here. You sold with strike, it cost you nothing, couldn't fault them. Okay, Claire. Can you be certain that you got as much money as another agent would have got you? I mean, there's no way of knowing, is there? It's one of those things you'll never know. But just remember that the data shows on average it's 4% less than conventional agents. Okay, Visual Ghoul, good question. What's the best case scenario for a buyer between now and March 2024? The best case scenario for a buyer is probably going to be, I reckon, I mean, if you're a cash buyer, because mortgage, I mean, buying with a mortgage in the next, in between now and then is just going to be painful. But if you're a cash buyer, get out there, get busy, and be in the right place at the right time when the property of dreams comes along, and the seller just takes 30% off the asking price and sells it to you on the spot because they've had enough. That's the best case scenario. Okay, guys. If that is it, I'm going to call it a night. Raise a glass of the last coffee, beer, Guinness I'm ever going to drink. And leave you with a thought on the political turmoil. I did not vote for him. I did not vote for Boris or the Tories at the last general election. And I'm almost certain that he's what everyone says he is, which is a lying, philandering, buffoon pisshead, right? But if he is the most skilled captain of a ship in the storm, that's who you want at the helm of the ship that we're all on until we're back in calm waters. It doesn't matter about his moral fibre, given the circumstances. If he's got the skill, the experience, the political capital, the influence and the power to actually get government operating again, I think that's not a bad outcome right now. I mean, I think it'd be astonishing if that happens. If Boris came back in, I'd be astonished if he won the next election. I think they're going to lose the next election, almost no matter what happens, unless that happens and he pulls some kind of miracle out. But I honestly think for all of our stability, for the sake of public services, for the sake of continuity, for the sake of the vulnerable, as counterintuitive as it may sound, that man gets things done. Things you may or may not like, but he gets stuff done. Everyone else just ends up in a mess, right? They just end up in a mess. So there's a man that gets stuff done, and that's who you want at the helm of a ship at a time like this. I suspect if he did come back in, he'd also be suitably humbled and would probably be much better behaved than before. And this is not a political comment. It is a stability comment. So, I actually know someone today said to me today, they are a lifelong Labour voter and Labour supporter, and they said they would rather Boris Johnson came back in than Keir Starmer, because they just think Keir Starmer is a bit of a wet blanket. And I agree with that. I don't think Keir Starmer getting in now would actually do us any favours. I just, nothing against the guy in particular. I just don't think he's a particularly strong leader. And in turbulent times, strong leadership is what you want. So I'm not saying I'm a fan of Boris. I'm just saying that we're on a ship which is all at sea and it's being tossed around by the waves and it's got no direction. And there's a half-drunk bloke in the corner, but he happens to be the best captain of the ship. Wake him up, get him back up there. That's my feeling on, because at the moment things are in a very not funny state for the country right now. Really not funny. Really, really not funny. People's livelihoods, people's businesses, people's jobs are at stake. All right, it doesn't get more serious than that. And for that reason, I think that whatever resumes stability, political and financial stability, economic stability faster, is the best thing for all of us. And once there's stability restored, then we can have a general election in due course in good time. That's what I think. Don't know what you guys think. I will wish you all a great night. And I'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye. Just reading some of your comments here. Boris talks utter pish. Yes. Better the devil you know. Yes. Boris is on tour. Yes, but he said he's coming back. Boris got us in this mess. No, Boris didn't get us in this mess. The people who ousted Boris got us in this mess. And I'm not a fan. I didn't support him, but I'm totally an objective, impartial observer of what happens. Um, the people who decided to get Boris out because he drank wine and lied about it, personally, I just don't care about that. I think the people who are doing jobs like that, you can't throw the rule book at them as much. I mean, on the big stuff, yeah, but on the small stuff, it just doesn't matter. I don't. I think it's come back to bite us. Um, yeah, visual ghoul. Um, I agree with that comment. um, Boris is a joke and won't help at all. He helps through corruption. He may be a joke, but like I said, the way I see it, the UK is a ship that's adrift in stormy seas right now, and the lives of the people on board are in real peril. And there's no one else with hidden lead. Rishi Sunak was an excellent chancellor, I think. He's not a leader. He's not a leader. He won't get the respect of the party, even though he's a professional, clever guy and he was a good chancellor. I don't think he'd be a good leader. Um, right, guys, got to go. Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.